Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. We've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. It is Friday. Guys, how are we doing?
Friday.
Yep.
Got big plans for the weekend.
Yeah, such as what? Staying inside by yourself?
I might be having a one-man barbecue.
Really?
Yep, 4th of July cookout myself.
Is that right? Just you and the dogs in the backyard?
That's it.
And they'll eat more food than you eat?
They will.
Right.
And everybody smell like, what's going on over there?
All right.
How you doing today, bro? You good?
I'm just glad I'm not wearing that eagle green.
Hey, looking good.
Shots fired. That color over there. I don't know about that one-man barbecue, Shannon, but have a great time. We have a lot to get to before the weekend, and I think we should begin by talking all things Cam Newton, because Cam has earned over $120 million during his 9-year career, not including endorsement money. So his 1-year, $1.75 million deal with the Patriots raised a few eyebrows. But Cam took to Instagram yesterday to explain why he would agree to a minimum deal. He said, quote, "It's not a lot of things money cannot buy, but amongst the top of that list of things, you would find respect as one of those. This is not about money for me. It's about respect." Shannon, do you agree with this point?
I do to an extent, Skip, because sometimes people equate money to respect. Skip, if you remember when Brian Urlacher, his last year when he was going back and forth with the Bears, and the Bears offered him $2 million. He was thinking about going to the Cowboys. He says, I will play for the Cowboys for $2 million. I will not play for the Bears for $2 million because I deem that a lack of respect. You see, it was kind of tied hand in hand. But I believe what Cam Newton is talking about in this situation is not the dollar figure, Skip. It's about there are teams in the NFL, Chicago Bears, maybe the San Diego Chargers, maybe a few other teams that Cam says, I'm better than your guys, and you didn't even give me a call.
They did not.
That's for me, Skip, this I don't know because I haven't talked to Cam or anybody close to Cam. But I'm surveying the landscape, and I'm looking around the 32 teams, and I know some have quarterbacks staunchly entrenched into a starting lineup. But when you navigate the league, Skip, and you look around, you're like, hold on. He better than what's in Chicago. He better than what they got at I said San Diego, excuse me. L.A. Chargers. He's better than those guys. Yep. There are a couple of other teams. Jacksonville. That Cam Newton is better than the quarterback that they got currently on the roster. And he said, y'all wouldn't even give me a call? Y'all wouldn't even ask me to ask me for an interview, to just pick up a Zoom? Okay, Skip, not Zoom is the new thing. Skip, you know, I've been Zooming lately. I've been doing a lot of Zoom. I feel important.
Have?
Yeah, I feel important
you
now.
Have been zooming?
Yeah, I've been Zooming.
With the dogs?
No. I've been Zooming. I feel important. I feel like a CEO or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So I believe, for me, Skip, I believe that's what Cam is talking about. I believe he says, yeah, okay, yeah, I understand that. And we saw Richard Sherman make a post like, it's disrespectful that Cam Newton has to play for, one little over $1 million, given what he's been in the league, given his success in the league. But for me, Skip, when I just look at it and I step back, having played in this league for 14 years, Skip, he's absolutely right. You want to be respected. And sometimes money comes along with respect because, Skip, we're going through that in Dallas. Your guys say, hold on, Dallas, y'all don't even respect me. Because if you respected me, you give me what I ask because I've been playing for this little bit of money over the last 4 years and done great. I've done better than what you thought. But Dak is looking at it, his representative, Skip, is looking at it lack of respect. But I don't believe that's what Cam is talking about in this situation, the money situation. I believe because he believes there are 4 or 5 other teams that within the league that he's better than their starting quarterback, he's better than their backup quarterback, and you wouldn't even give me a call. So I believe that's the respect factor that he's talking about in this situation.
Okay. So my big picture takeaway from Cam's IG post of yesterday was, it hit me as profoundly sad. And I told you last Monday, just after we'd heard the news, Cam to Belichick.
Right.
I said, I'm not sure whether to offer congratulations or condolences. That's in part because of what's not left in the cupboard on offense in New England, number one. But number two, and maybe more important, how little money was paid to this man who it was just 5 years ago, won the MVP. He dominated this league. He terrorized this league. got that team 15-1 to the Super Bowl. He did not play well in the Super Bowl. He played better than Peyton did, but he did not play well. The Denver defense took the game over, but he still got to the Super Bowl.
Correct.
In a fairly short time, we went from that to this. And I'm going to read these figures one more time because I get what he's saying about it's like money can't buy happiness, and he's saying money can't buy respect either. But in the end, your salary can pay you respect. Obviously, it's the ultimate measuring stick in this society, right?
It is.
It's how we measure the respect that your employer gives you is by your salary in the end. Not always, but mostly. So Bill Belichick got away with paying him by waiting it out and letting the entire league reject Cam Newton, former MVP. But he got away with paying him the bare rock bottom minimum for a man a player of this
that
veteran.
many years of the league.
Yes. Okay. It's barely $1 million. Only about half of it is even guaranteed. It's $550,000 is guaranteed. So I told you I tried to put this in perspective. That's the 908th highest salary in the whole National Football League. There are 907 higher paid players in the league. And it's the 58th highest paid quarterback salary in the league. This is Cam Newton we're talking about. And I know he has struggled because he's been beat all to hell. We talked about how he died for the cause for the Carolina Panthers. But still, despite a shoulder surgery and despite a Liz Frank surgery on his foot, he's 31 years of age, which ain't too old.
Right.
A lot of quarterbacks, I mean, we got one that's about to be 43 in Tampa. But a lot of quarterbacks are entering their prime just right about now.
Right.
So if he's healthy and you got away with paying him barely $1 million, that's just not right, right? And then I reflect back on Jenny's favorite quarterback, Kirk Cousins. Just 2 years ago, he went to the Vikings for 3 years at $84 million. Now, think about this. And it was all guaranteed.
All.
And he just got extended. But just take his initial Minnesota contract, $84 million guaranteed. Cam just got guaranteed $550,000. What? Okay, so this comes across to me as a Cam Newton who is such a proud man. He's got such a huge aura and charisma and personality. And it just got stomped on by the National Football League, and it crushed him. And this came across as it's saying, I'm going to win back my respect. I don't think he got paid a lot of respect by Bill Belichick. No. But if, in fact, he's going to get the opportunity to win the starting job, and we're not even completely sure about that.
Right.
But if he's at least given the opportunity, then he can win back tons of respect because he does have the ultimate opportunity in that it's the ultimate challenge.
Right.
You get to go to New England to replace the GOAT, the man who won or got to, let's just say, put it this way, he got to 9 Super Bowls in the last 20 years. Is that not the ultimate challenge to step into those shoes? And yet I told you on Monday, they're just a handful of humans capable of bearing up under that challenge.
Right.
This man is definitely one of those.
Agree.
So even though his pride got stepped on, and back to your fact, this league rejected him, roundly rejected him, and it even came down to one of 3 African-American coaches who coached the not San Diego, but Los Angeles Chargers, a guy you played with named Anthony Lynn.
Good friend of mine.
And I don't know how much actual decision-making input Coach Lynn has in the bigger structure of the Chargers.
Right.
Probably some, but not final say.
Right.
But even that team, coached by that man, said no when all they had was Tyrod Taylor. And I respect his game because he did get Buffalo to the playoffs one year and lost a 6-3 playoff game at Jacksonville.
Yep.
Okay, but he's pretty good.
Right.
But he's not Cam Newton.
Right.
And then they go out in the draft and they take a guy 6th overall. Neither you nor I think that much of.
No.
We are not sold on Justin Herbert.
No.
Because if you're saying Justin Herbert, Cam Newton, Justin Herbert, stop it. Really? I mean, you love Tua. Maybe if you're going Tua versus Cam, you're saying, okay, long-term, long haul.
Right.
You know, we could go on and on about that. But the point is that they took Justin Herbert over Cam Newton, and probably sooner than later, he'll be in their starting lineup.
Right.
Maybe at mid-year. I don't know. Maybe he'll start game one for all I know. Okay? So that team moving into SoFi Stadium, needing a marquee draw. And whatever you want to say about Cam Newton, there's one thing for sure you cannot take away from him. He is box office.
Yep.
Big box office, because he's fun to... What did Randy Moss say? It drove me crazy just because I respect Brady so much. But Randy Moss says, you're going to see the fun brought back into that Patriot offense. It's going to be so much more fun to watch than it used to be. Okay, if I give Randy that much, I still can't see how it's more fun than 9 Super Bowls in 20 years, but that's a whole nother issue.
Right.
But if it's that much fun to watch Cam play football, how can he not be a lightning rod draw going into a, what's it, $1 billion stadium? It's several billion, right?
Yep.
Okay, it's about to have a grand opening. What if you put that man's name on
SoFi.
the SoFi.
Oh,
yeah, right.
Yep.
Okay, so why wouldn't you put that man's name on the marquee?
100-yard jumbotron.
Okay, 100-yard jumbotron, and Cam could just fill it up.
Yes.
Because, as we know, everybody who plays him says, they always say, you can't believe how huge he is.
You can't.
6'5", 2, I don't know, he looks like he's leaned out.
Yeah, he has. I think he's a complete vegan now. I know he has for a while. He was
240-ish. Maybe he's played at 250 to 260.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, easy.
He can impose his physical will on teams if he's healthy. So if he's healthy now,
right.
Okay, so he has the opportunity to do this. But so he posts in this IG post that this is not about money for me, it's about respect. And then he's got, you're going to have to explain this one to me, but he goes with that purple devil emoji over, greater than the money bag. Right. And then he just keeps going across and he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those purple devil emojis.
The purple devil?
Okay. It can mean a whole lot of things to me. I'm not sure how it fits here. If you can explain exactly.
Well, I don't know. Look. Me trying to explain is kind of like trying to explain what Jerry Trump's mean with some of his Jerryisms. They mean a lot of different things. They might mean something to you and I, but Jerry's like, no, that's not what it meant with that one.
Okay, so
I guess he got something cooking, Skip.
Okay,
he got something cooking.
Some definitions. I even looked it up last night to see. Am I missing a definition here? But it can mean excitement and excellence and
He's ready. Yeah.
Okay, like he's going to show people. Okay, good. And then we got some hashtags.
What hashtag?
All I know is work.
Right.
Okay, I'll buy that one. I'm betting it all on me. Yep, that's what's about to happen because they're not betting it all on you. You better bet it all on you, right? Shine through the shade. I think that's the ultimate hashtag tag because he's feeling a lot of shade right now. Yeah,
he feels like a lot of these teams shaded him. Wouldn't even give Cam Newton a call. Skip, I think the thing is that when you look at it, there's no unemployment for a professional athlete. You see what happened during this pandemic, there are a lot of people that got laid off and some of them were able to get unemployment. And some of the unemployment benefits was more than they were actually making. Well, in professional sports, Skip, if you get laid off and someone doesn't pick you up, there is no unemployment benefits.
Nope.
So so Cam is looking at like, okay, now, I can sit here and be on my pride and say that is beneath me. Here's the guy that made $20 million last year, just in football salary, if I'm not mistaken, and they're offering me this? I wish I might accept that. Well, you sit there and own your pride and do what? Or I can go back, play for this, a little over $1 million, show that I'm still Cam Newton. Because, Skip, you remember in 2018, Cam got off to a great start. Hurt that shoulder. He tried to play.
I will tell you, that opening stretch in 2018, that looked like 2015 to me. So I'm going to give you that. Of the 4 years that felt below average, because the overall numbers are below average.
Correct.
But there was a lightning strike right there of Superman.
And then what happened? Hurt the shoulder. He tried to play through it for their cause. Oh, I'm tough. And then, boom, all of a sudden, things got worse. And then he hurt his foot. So for me, Skip, you have to look at it as a situation like this. Skip, if a man is out of work and he has a family to feed, what type of job would that man accept? Obviously, he'd accept less because it's better than nothing. Cam needs to get back. Cam can't prove that he's healthy. Cam can't prove that he's the old Cam sitting on his couch in Atlanta.
No.
Cam needs to be on a football field. He needs to be on a roster. Give it an opportunity to show that I'm still Cam Newton and I can get this done. Yeah, Skip, absolutely hurts your pride. You go from $20 million to $1 million? Absolutely. And when some of these other guys, I look at Chase Daniels, who's been right, get it if you can get it. Hold on. They giving this man, he made $7 million as a backup, $5 million, $6 million. You see all these guys making all this, and all. Wait a minute. But see, Skip, and I tell people this all the time, it's harder if you're a great player, have been a great player, to be a backup than being a career backup. Because then they come in and everybody's like, oh, it ain't no problem. Now, Chase Daniels and some of these other backups, that's why Josh McCown is able to stay in the league for 18, 19 years, Skip. Fitzpatrick, even when Tua beats him out, he'll go somewhere else and stay another 2 or 3 years.
But he's no threat.
No.
Like you can bring him in and he's no threat to your starter. Like Seattle.
Right.
I kept thinking, would Seattle make a play for Cam? No. Because they have Geno Smith as their backup. But Cam's better than Geno, clearly.
Right. Yes.
But he would be such a threat to Russell Wilson.
And it's harder, Skip, when you've been, think about this, Skip. It's harder to be the guy when you're used to being the applause being for you. And then all of a sudden you hear that applause and it's for someone else. That's not easy to handle. Trust me, I've been there. I've been, and all of a sudden I'm like, damn. Oh, that's the guy standing next to me. Okay, I get it. I get it. It's cool. I'm cool.
You've been there.
I've been there. You know what I'm saying? You know, it was a little tiny bit.
Wait,
you know?
They're cheering for Todd Heap, right?
No, I left. Todd came. That was my last year in Baltimore. They drafted Todd. They drafted Todd in the first round. No. But I had a great conversation with Oz, and he explained it to me. Like, but I mean, and plus that's the thing, Skip. I believe if Carolina had sat down with Cam and explained the situation, it was like they tried to make it seem like Cam requested a trade when all the while they were trying to deal Cam. Cam could have handled that, Skip. If there's a just talk to me. I figure after 9 years, Skip, of being in this relationship, but what Cam needed to understand, this was a different dynamic.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden the owner that drafted you, he's no longer there. They got a new head coach. So the coach that the relationship you had with Ron Rivera is no longer there. Even though I think it's Skip, wasn't Marty Hurney? Didn't Marty Hurney draft him?
He did. Then he was replaced by Gettleman. Then he came back around. Yeah.
So, Skip, I believe there's a situation that they could have sat down with Cam, explained the situation, says, Cam, this is what we want. I mean, would you be willing to work at a discount? Yep. But they did none of that. And then they played it up like Cam was requesting a trade when they were trying to get rid of, when the news had already broke, they had signed Teddy Bridgewater.
And he publicly called them on it.
Exactly.
He said, don't you be putting those words in my mouth effectively.
Exactly.
Right?
So, Skip, I believe that's the thing. I mean, it's tough when you've been this guy all of a sudden and you think that you're better than some of these quarterbacks elsewhere, and the teams don't even call you.
Yep. Okay, back to Kirk Cousins. Speaking of Kirk, he said yesterday he raised that suspicion flag again on Belichick, saying, I'm just paraphrasing, but he said, don't be surprised if there's some plan here we're not seeing. Well, you and I discussed yesterday the possibility that maybe Belichick signed Cam to do Cam package plays, to do, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 plays a game that he would throw or run in Cam style, while Stidham would be, as Belichick calls him, it would be the starter that Cam, he could maybe protect Cam from too much contact, taking too much punishment by 10, 12 plays a game as a nuclear Taysom Hill in New Orleans, obviously. And that then maybe it would make more sense because you'd be saying, oh, well, Belichick got him on the cheap because he's going to use him conservatively.
Skip, for me, I've been stopped trying to figure out Coach Belichick because nobody has been able to hit it on the nail. Oh, he's going to draft this guy. He needs this position, and this guy is Taylor. This is a Patriot guy, and he takes a kicker. Or he takes Skip, he loves Lamar Jackson. He's secretly with that.
There's been a lot of that. Yep.
So I've given up trying to figure out what Coach Belichick's going to do because he's going to do the last thing that you expect him to do. And that's why I guess that's what makes him such the genius that he is, because he's willing to take players that didn't or couldn't perform at other locations, and he can get the Kyle Van Noys, or he can get the Jamie Collins, and he can get guys that Stephon Gilmore wasn't that in Buffalo. So all of a sudden Stephon Gilmore got more talented Once he got to New England, no. He got with somebody that...
He did have to pay him a bunch of money,
Yeah,
though.
that was the only time that he...
The only time, but he did.
That was the only time he played market value for anything. Coach Belichick goes to the grocery store and a gallon of milk is $4. He's like, I give you the $1.50 for it. I ain't paying
and they'll do it in Boston.
Coach Belichick says, I ain't paying full price for anything. But that's the way he operates, Skip. He believes that in his coaching and his system that he can fit guys in, get them on the cheap, and get them to perform. And then if your performance is more than I'm willing to pay, I appreciate it, a la Darrell Rebus.
That is correct. Belichick also got away with, in signing Cam, that he qualified all of his incentives as not likely to be reached. Because Cam had no stats last year, so you can sort of trick it up and jump through a loophole in the salary cap. They don't count against your cap if they're not likely. And you do them off his stats last year. Well, he didn't have any stats last year to speak of.
Well, that's kind of how they do it, Skip, to avoid the cap implications, knowing that if this guy, because that's what they did. They probably, if I'm not mistaken, Skip, I think they did that with some of Brady's numbers. He had some incentives last year if he gets to the Super Bowl and things of that nature. They did that with Gronk, if I'm not mistaken, one year. But they do that, Skip, for, as you mentioned, for cap implications, knowing like, man, if this guy's healthy, he's gonna get those stats. But we don't want the money to count this year. We'll let it count next year. We'll kick the can down the road and address it then. But I think this is a great situation for Cam. The only question that I have, if Cam Newton's healthy, Cam Newton can be Cam Newton. I believe Cam Newton, they'll allow Cam to be who he wants to be. Skip, if he's Superman, you don't ask Superman whose power is flying to all of a sudden drive. You let him be who he is. He's a superhero that can fly. You let him fly.
I just hope he gets the opportunity to fly. And if he does, he can win respect as opposed to being paid respectfully.
Yes, I agree.
No mercy. FedEx, which holds the naming rights to the Washington Redskins stadium, has officially asked the franchise to change its team name, which has been used since 1933. Native American leaders and other groups have protested the nickname for years and tried to win in court, but those efforts have failed. So, Shannon, will the name finally be changed?
Skip, I believe it will. I believe it's just a matter of time now, because now they're starting to hit Daniel Snyder where it would potentially hurt. And that's in his back pocket. Now, he can be stubborn and bullheaded and try to and dismiss. Who needs an extra $150 million in advertising? But, Skip, that's nothing to sneeze at. That gets people's undivided attention. And what Nike took down their merchandise, took it down off their website. As reported that 87 investment firms and shareholders worth a collective $620 billion, Nike, FedEx, and PepsiCo said, look, they were asked that y'all need to terminate this because this is the only thing that's going to get his attention. And, Skip, I believe Daniel Snyder it will not be a better time than what's right now. He can do it now with no problem, because the people that want him to hold on to that name, they was like, you know what? Given the climate and where we are right now, we understand. That's so much pressure.
True.
Now, I get it. There were polls in the 90s that said the Native Americans weren't offended by this, but there was a poll that...
Polls in the 2000s.
But here's one that just was conducted in February. 57% who strongly identify with being Native American and 67% who frequently engage in tribal cultural practices are deeply insulted by a caricature of the Native American culture.
Which could run deeper than just that nickname.
Exactly. Skip, you know what the problem is? You know why people don't want to give that nickname up? People that create something have a hard time being told not to use it. That's why people want to use the N-word, because they created it. Skip, do you think Native Americans ever called themselves Redskins? No. It's the people that invented the name that's holding on to it. They're not going around, hey, you this, you that, because they want to hold on to it. Daniel Snyder, they made it just like Preston Marshall. They said, okay, you want to move, you not moving until you put blacks on that football team. Guess what he did, Skip? He put Bobby Mitchell on the foot. I think Bobby passed away. Put him on the team. And all of a sudden, they started getting black players. Now, they've already told him you're not getting a new stadium until you change the name.
Remember, they drafted Ernie Davis. That was the first one where George Preston Marshall said, okay, I give in. I give up. It's 1962. He's the last one, last holdout for integration. Okay, I'll draft him, Ernie Davis. And he said, no, I will not play for you.
Right.
Okay.
And So, Skip, I just think the thing is with this, Skip, I mean, you think about Nike. Nike is the official outfit of the NFL.
Yep.
You're looking at these big corporations, Skip. That's potentially hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, if they pull, they're not going to be the only ones that pull out of this.
Yep.
And so Daniel Snyder's really not going to, I don't think he's going to have much of a choice. And I don't think the climate is any better than it's ever been for him to make that change. Skip, forget the climate. It's the right thing to do. Whatever happened to doing the right thing? Forget the climate. Forget the temperature of where we are in society at this current time. What about doing the right thing? Skip, I try to make it a habit. That since I've been on the air with you, I don't refer to that last name. I say Washington. Skip, I don't need but one person to tell me something is offensive. I don't need 50,000. I don't need the whole popular demographic to say that's offensive. If one person says, you know what, Skip, I got a great relationship with a guy at CBS. He was on camera 3, Fred Shimizu. I used to call him Ichiro because he was Japanese. His sister's passed, and Ichiro in Japanese means firstborn. Well, his sister was the firstborn, and he came to me. He says, Shannon. He said, can you do me a favor? I said, what's that? I said, what's that, Ichiro? He said, can you not refer to me as Ichiro anymore? I said, sure. He said, my sister passed, and she was the firstborn. No problem.
Yeah.
Freddie. From that point on, Skip, all he needed to do was tell me. No, man, I've been calling you that all along, man. Why now? Still got a great relationship. Skip, they told you they don't like it. I don't care I don't care about 90. I don't care if it's 95% says it's okay. That 5% says no, leave it alone.
Okay. Everything you just said, music to my ears. I have been campaigning for years for this nickname to go away. I will be honest with you, be completely transparent. I tried for a while in 2014 not to use it. It gets, during the football season, virtually impossible when you're on a sports debate show not to use that nickname because it's just the name of the team.
Right.
When you say Washington, it doesn't even have the right ring. Okay, so forgive me for that. But I have campaigned, as have many others in the media, to get rid of this nickname for, I don't know how many years. For me, 10, 15 years. It was just wrong from the start.
Right.
I think Dan Snyder knew in his heart of hearts it was wrong, but he grew up a Redskin fan. His father taking him to games at old RFK Stadium. And the sentimentality of the deep love that he has for the team blinded him to how that nickname does offend some Native Americans, not all.
Right.
And yet we went through this big flurry of attention in 2014 because there was a prospect. They were going to lose their trademark. You want to talk about getting hit in the pocketbook if they did not change the name. And I don't know how Dan Snyder pulled this off, but he issued a statement at that point, I will never, and he put it in all caps, change this name.
Right.
And apparently, Dan Snyder has friends in high places in our nation's capital. High places.
Yes.
Because somehow that case against his trademark somehow went away in the bowels of our judicial system.
Yes.
I don't understand it, but it went away. During that time, he went on a campaign to convince people that there was nothing wrong with that nickname. And he did so by basically doing a national tour of different reservations, visiting with different tribal chiefs. He also gave $4 million to Native American causes.
Right.
And he had 5 of his ex-players led by Chris Cooley. We had him on the other show at ESPN. And they were just campaigning to try to enlighten people that most, like a vast majority of Native Americans were not offended by that nickname. And there was the most talked about poll of all came out in 2016 via the Washington Post, a highly credible at that point website and newspaper.
Right.
And it surveyed 504 Native Americans out of the 5 million odd Native Americans we have in our country now. A pretty good sample size. Again, I'm never quite sure about this, but 504, 9 out of 10 said we are not offended by the nickname. The NFL then conducted its own poll soon after that and found that it was actually older respondents to the poll who were not offended, but the NFL found that those surveyed between the ages of 18 and 29 were strongly, by 71%, opposed. So that's what we've seen in the recent protests. the younger people, like I kept telling you, the younger white people are saying, no more of this.
Right.
We've seen enough of this. We're with our black brothers and sisters.
Right.
What do you need from us now?
Right.
Okay, so it's a surge of youthful thinking. It's enlightened thinking.
And you mentioned this, Skip. It may be a point in time where the older generation says, you know what, it's been there so long, ain't nothing we can do.
Okay.
And the younger generation says, hell no, there is something we can do.
I think the older generations are so beaten down.
Yes.
Because they were so oppressed that they finally just said, we give up.
Skip, I can see if he named it after one of the tribes, the Cherokee or the Choctaw, the Chickasaw, or Washawnee. That's not a tribe. That's a derogatory term. What part don't you get about that?
Okay, so I've gone back and forth for years about just how derogatory the term is. But all I know for sure is that there are some Native American leaders who find it extremely derogatory.
Yes.
It's difficult for me, and this is just my 2 cents sitting in this chair right here. It's difficult for me to equate that nickname with the N-word, which I've told you countless times, it's the most evil word in our language. Is it a racial slur, that nickname that we're not speaking right now? To some it is. Yeah. To others, it's just a derogatory term. Right. It's just sort of a derisive term. But it's difficult for me to equate the suffering that your people went through, African Americans in this country, starting in 1619, born of slavery, and the sufferings of the Native Americans in this country. They are both American tragedies. They don't equate. I can't compare and contrast them because they're so different. But I've told you before, I grew up in what used to be called Indian Territory, the state of Oklahoma. It means red man, Oklahoma. 5 civilized tribes were relocated from southeastern United States, from Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. They were forced in relocation to march all the way to Oklahoma, to Indian Territory, to relocate onto reservations, which then got further taken away from them by the Oklahoma land run when white settlers said, well, you got enough land, we're going to take some more of your land. Okay, and basically, just for our younger viewers who don't get this, they were here first. This was their land. When Columbus discovered America, it was populated by Native Americans. And what did we do? As in my forefathers?
I know we borrowed. I know we paid them a good price for it. We gave them what, I mean, did we pay for it? I mean, didn't they pay for it? I know Columbus, because I know that's not, white men would never riot and kill somebody. No, Skip.
So the white men basically declared war on the Native Americans, declared war, and said, if you won't give up your land, we will take it from you. And there was bloodshed. And by the way, that forced march of the Trail, it became known as the Trail of Tears. There were about 60,000 who were moved. Nearly 10,000 died on the march of disease and hunger. And it was just...
Well, a lot of disease came when they came over here, brought their butt over here.
Thank you.
There was no disease over here. They was just fine, just harmony.
Okay, now let's go to the origin of this nickname. I'm going to say it, Redskins. Where did it pop up? How did it jump into existence? Well, it happened back in 1932 when George Preston Marshall tried to put a football team in Boston, Massachusetts, when football was not popular. It was a baseball town.
Correct.
There was no basketball. There was little to no football yet. And so at first, they were the Boston Braves because they shared a stadium with a Boston National League baseball team, also referred to as the Braves, okay? And then when he had to move to Fenway Park, or I guess he probably wanted to move to Fenway Park to share space with the Red Sox, he thought, well, let's change the nickname Braves to Redskins, okay? So it's kind of a clever Red Sox, Redskins. But he knew it was going to be a problem, so how did he try to sell it to the public? He went out and found a man who was said to be part Sioux Indian at that point, Native American, obviously, but that he was part Sioux. His name was Henry Dietz, Lone Star Dietz, and made him the head coach of the Redskins just to try to sell it. So clearly, George Preston Marshall knew it was a problem. When I was a little kid growing up watching what were called cowboy and Indian movies, what happened when they were going after the Indians? It was those lousy Redskins. It was at the very least, it was a derogatory term, right?
Yep.
And I've always said it on TV many times, can you imagine an early NFL owner saying, you know what? I want to pay tribute to the slaves who were the backbone of our economy for so many years in this country. I'm going to call my new NFL team the Blackskins. How would that have gone over, and how long would that have gone over?
Black faces.
Yeah, or okay, there, okay? Do that.
No.
Okay, no. But Redskins somehow work because the Redskins, the Native Americans are so oppressed that they got beaten down into reservation existences where they didn't have the leadership to fight back.
No.
Your community has had strong leadership over the years, as oppressed as you have been. It is powerful, potent, starting with Dr. King, and I can do Malcolm X, and I can go to Jesse Jackson, and I can go to Al Sharpton, and I can go to Shannon Sharpton. I can go all the way up. Strong, powerful voices. And this again, the Native Americans are split into tribes. So that's hard to unify and unite, right?
Yes.
And so they haven't had that one powerful voice to defend them until now. They have fallen into a time in which, thanks to your community, we have had some racial enlightenment, some new racial sensitivity, I believe.
Yes.
Is it the battle up? No, it's not over. But I believe we have reached as enlightened a point in our growth in this country as we ever have.
Yeah, I think so too, Skip. I think America is more open from a people's perspective. Now that remains to be seen, Skip, if all this movement is going to lead to real change.
It definitely remains to be seen.
Yes, but I do believe, Skip, because the protests are still
all we know that all the remnants of racism from slavery racism are slowly coming down. The statues, the symbols, and racist behavior is being attacked publicly in ways it never has in the history of this country. So at least we're having significant progress right now. I don't believe we've ever had.
No.
And it feels good to me, but again, we've only just begun, to your point. Okay, so let's finish on George Preston Marshall. What happened to him? Well, he finally relocated his team because they wouldn't pay to see it in Boston. They even won the division and nobody would come out to see it. He moved it to Washington, D.C., and he kept the name Redskins, Washington Redskins. What happened, as we just mentioned, George Preston Marshall became known as the biggest bigot and racist in the National Football League, right? And he was the last to integrate. It took until 1962, and that was under threat from Robert Kennedy.
Absolutely.
Who threatened to take away his 30-year lease of what became Robert F. Kennedy Stadium. He threatened to take it away. And finally, George, we reached this watershed moment that we have right now with FedEx, Nike, PepsiCo saying, what if we pull back here? And remember, the FedEx chairman right now is a minority holder in the team, Washington, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so it went all the way in the time of George Preston Marshall owning the team that Shirley Povich, the great columnist for in Washington, the sports columnist, said that he was one of the great innovators in the National Football. He brought in the forward pass. He was the first one to suggest we should allow people to throw the ball across the line of scrimmage. And Shirley concluded, and he's also the NFL's leading bigot. Okay, so that's the guy who started this nickname. Well, what should that tell you in 2020? Well, it's been wrong because that's the guy who started it.
And the thing is, Skip, you know, things that were acceptable or people deemed as acceptable back then, they're not acceptable now. So you should move on. I mean, Skip, you know, there are a lot of actors in vaudeville and they dressed up in blackface. But you try to do that now and people are like, hold on, what are you thinking?
Yeah, because finally people are standing up and saying, what are you thinking?
Yes, so let it go, bro. Skip, he makes it seem like, well, if I change the name, the team's going to disappear. No, they're still going to come out and support you. You can find another name to name this team. It doesn't have to be a derogatory name.
So obviously the Atlanta Braves remain the Braves, right? And yet it's Dan Snyder who says the original intention was to pay respect and to honor Native Americans. Well, not with that nickname.
Right.
If you'd called them the Washington Braves in the Boston Braves as they originally were, right?
Right.
Then you'd be okay with that.
They're Braves.
Yeah, they're Braves. They're Braves. Okay? Yeah, we get that.
Right.
Okay, but you went all the way to playing off Red Sox to Redskins.
Right.
Didn't work from the start. And that was in the 30s.
Right.
And it got grandfathered through the years. And I'm just hoping that you're right about this. I will believe it when I see it because of those friends in high places. But to your point, if FedEx is saying no, and now it appears Nike is saying no, now the pocketbook is going to be hit.
You know who we need to say no? Those 31 other owners.
Bingo.
That's who needs to say no.
They do. And they would have to be unified by our commissioner. And again, can somebody get them together to make a statement to the one owner in D.C. to say, you know what? It's enough.
Yeah, Jerry, that's your boy.
Yeah.
Go talk to him about changing that name. Well, Jerry ain't going to talk about it because, you know, as a matter of fact, all of a sudden, Jerry can't talk anymore.
No, he's lost his voice.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. But anyway, you are correct. I am with you.
Get those 31 others, and then that'll move the needle.
I think the history was really important, Skip, to explain. I did not realize the connection to Boston and everything there, but didn't Mark Twain say it's never wrong to do the right thing? Like, at this point, how are we still even debating this? And I think it's crazy how many times we talk about it. I hope that we finally see change that is so long overdue.
No mercy.
Oklahoma State announced that an internal review of head coach Mike Gundy, quote, uncovered no signs or indication of racism. But his contract was reportedly shortened by a year and included a pay cut. So, Shannon, what is your reaction to this?
I'm not surprised, Skip. Really? And considering that the buyout of Van Gundy would have been about $16 million, I understand it. But given the history and the magnitude of this scope, I believe they should have gone out to outside counsel and had them do the investigation instead of internally. Because, Skip, you know what? Hey, Shannon, I want you to investigate yourself and let us know what you come back with. What you think I'm going to come back with, Skip? Yeah, you know, I've been doing that for about 5-6 years. And, you know, no, of course not, Skip. You can't tell me, hey, you got an open book. Hey, take this test home. If I take the test home, what I'm going to do, Skip? So this is that's the problem that you have, and people look at it like, hold on, you did an internal investigation of yourself, and we expected you to find that, oh yeah, you were wrong on a number of issues. Nobody gonna believe that you're gonna come back with anything that you deem that you did anything wrong. Oh yeah, there's some things he can work better with with the players on his team, but you know, that's something that, you know, he can build on that. No, Skip, when you look at these issues, and people try to make it about the T-shirt, it's not about the T-shirt. It's an accumulation of things that Mike Van Gundy has said and done over the course of
Mike Gundy.
Mike Gundy has said over his tenure as the head coach of Oklahoma State. Now, I've talked to some people that knows him, that's been around him, and for lack of a better word, he's a prick. He's arrogant. And that doesn't necessarily mean that he's racist. And I'm not here to call him that, but he does some things.
Although you were the first to report. Go ahead.
Oh, but him using the N-word to Alfred Williams. Now, I did
during a game in 1989.
He used the N-word to.
He was the quarterback at Oklahoma State, and they were getting their butts kicked at Colorado.
And that was the first time they had beat Oklahoma State. Colorado had beaten Oklahoma State, and I think in a very long time.
Right. So he got frustrated, and he uttered that word according to Alfred and
Canavis McGee, and a lot of Mike, I think Mike Jones was another guy that was on, and so like 20 of his teammates actually heard him say it. Mike Van Gundy denied it, obviously. Skip, if you remember, Alfred Williams' position coach, Bob Simmons, got the head coaching job at Oklahoma State, and when he got there, he demoted him.
Good point.
So
I'd forgotten about
that. I'm not saying that was the reason why, but I'm saying that's what happened. So, Skip, for me, there are so many things that's going on. I mean, he's been echoing, he's calling it the Chinese virus. He said, we need to get these students back on campus. We got to keep that money flowing through Oklahoma, Skip. You know? Forget the help. We don't worry about that. Skip, and then it's hard for me to believe that a coach don't know the players on his team's name. Now, sometimes, you know, I get it, you know, old school coaches, they try. But for this, and he referred to them as jersey numbers, and then one guy had, you know, passed out, had to be revived. And he started practice right back up, so, you know, and guys were genuinely concerned about what's transpiring. Skip, I just think the thing is, just put all the cards on the table, let an outside, and that's what normally corporations do. Because they know people are going to look at, like, if we do this investigation ourselves, No matter what we come back with, people are going to say we didn't do enough. But if we let somebody outside of this handle it, who has no dog in the fight, because no matter what Oklahoma tells you, they got a dog in this fight, Skip, and they don't want this dog to get scathed. So I would have felt better, and maybe they come back with the same conclusion that Oklahoma State came back with. That, yes, he can have a better relationship with his players, but there's nothing extraordinary out of whack here. And so let's just leave it. Maybe they come back with that same conclusion. But I think a lot of people would have felt better had they had someone outside do the investigation and come back with this conclusion that they found. But it's going to be it's interesting to see moving forward how the black players feel about Mike Van Gundy, because a lot of this stuff has become public that maybe weren't public. Because a lot of these guys weren't even born in '89. I can assure you that. They weren't even born in '90, Skip. So you got to come back and come 2000 before a lot of these kids knowing what's going on.
The one point I disagree with you on is your first point, that you were not surprised that he kept his job. I'm surprised because I'm just profoundly disappointed in this university, and I did grow up in that state, in Oklahoma City. Now, I was a University of Oklahoma fan, so they were the rival, not an arch rival. Texas was the arch rival, but they both were orange, but it was the rival.
That's your in-state rival.
Even though it never could sort of live up to the rivalry.
It's not Alabama-Auburn.
And by the way, that guy is 2-13 against his in-state rival. That's why I thought he was on the thinnest of ice. And the strongest media voice in the state of Oklahoma is Barry Trammell, the columnist for the Oklahoman, the most plugged in of all the journalists in Oklahoma. And he said on his, I believe it was on his radio show, a day after this first broke, when he was pictured in the OAN shirt while he was fishing on Lake Texoma, Barry Trammell said that he was going to be surprised if he kept his job until the weekend, which was 3 more days, and that he was told that they were ready at Oklahoma State to move on from Mike Gundy. But to your point, it was going to cost $16 million, and it's a lot of money. And some of the more well-heeled boosters were going to help subsidize the $16 million. Oklahoma was a Trump state in 2016. I have no idea if it is right now, but every county in the state of Oklahoma voted for Donald Trump in 2016. So you can guess, you can maybe leap to the conclusion that a number of the most wealthy boosters of Oklahoma State University are Trump supporters, so they had no problem with him wearing an OAN T-shirt.
Skip, I give you an example. Willie Taggart, he was at Florida State. And I think his buyout was $21 million. Is he still the head coach at Florida State?
No,
when they want your butt
that was about W's and L's.
But Skip, when they want you gone, they'll get you up out of there.
That was just strictly about performance.
That's what I know. But I'm saying when they want you gone, there's not amount of money that the boosters won't put up to get you up out of there. When the boosters want you to stay, you stay. No, I'm not saying it was about anything about race with Willie Taggart.
No, I'm with you.
It was strictly W's and L's.
I got it. I don't got it about Mike Gundy, because let's walk quickly back through the sequence. During a conference call with the reporters soon after the pandemic hit, and he uttered that thing about we got to get him back at school so we can
keep the money
channel that money through the state of Oklahoma, however he said it, run that money through the state. He also volunteered without being asked that he's discovered a new network that he loves, OAN. And his point was, which was a little weird, but he said it's not right or left, it's right down the middle. It's just the facts, ma'am. Right? And I'm like, okay. So he said it, and he took heat for it, and he apologized for it. I should have done more homework. I'm going to assume, and I'm pretty sure I'll be correct about this because we talked about it before, that OAN then sent him some swag, as in T-shirts or whatever, to represent them because they appreciated the publicity from a head coach at Oklahoma State. And he got the T-shirt, and then he chose, one fateful morning, just a couple of weeks back, he chose to take that T-shirt and put it on to go fishing in. What would that tell you? that he's co-signing, right?
Absolutely.
He's proud to wear. I'm sorry. I don't think you just throw... If you're that head coach in the public eye, and then you stand up and pose for a picture with your haul of fish that you caught at Lake Texoma, knowing that the guy with you is a reporter for CBS, and he's going to post... there's a chance he's going to post it on his social media.
As being the head coach of Oklahoma State, how many Oklahoma State T-shirts do you think Mike Gundy owns? 1,000.
10,000, like unlimited supply.
So
right,
of all the Oklahoma
and they're all brand new. Yeah.
Of all those, listen,
you can wear them one time and throw them out.
I need a T-shirt. I need a T-shirt. Not this one. Not this one. Not the cowboy. No, that one.
OAN. I'm going to wear that to go fishing. What does that tell you?
Yes.
Okay. So I told you I didn't know enough about OAN. So before we did the topic a couple of weeks ago, I'm on YouTube trying to find some video of what does it look like? Right. And I run across a female commentator talking about Black Lives Matter, and she calls it a farce.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need to know, because it is obviously pro-Trump, far right. But Black Lives Matter is a farce?
Right.
Okay, then he had worn that T-shirt. And Chuba Hubbard, let me remind everyone, if they don't know this, he was the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, the leading rusher in all the country in college football, could have left after last year and gone into the draft, and I'm pretty sure he would have at least been a second-round pick, if not a late first-round pick. But he chose to go back to school. And then you know what he chose to say immediately on Twitter: I will not stand for this. Right. And he concluded that I will not be doing anything for Oklahoma State until they change. Well, I'm thinking, go, Chuba, go. Yeah. Way to go. And it's this time. This time is right. This is the time for you to take this stand and your teammates to lock arms with you and take a stand against that man wearing that T-shirt. Right. What happened a day later? We see a video that gets made in the halls of Oklahoma State Athletic Department. I don't know, in their media hall, right? And it's Chuba apologizing to Coach Gundy. Right. I should have come to you with this instead of taking it first to social media. He apologized, not Mike Gundy apologized. Right. And Mike's saying, we're good. You know, everything's good now. What? Yeah. And I was disappointed in Chuba. Stand strong. Right. Don't back off. Don't back down. He didn't. And later he said that I'm not backing down on my stance, but it came across that he sort of. And
the thing is, Skip, he said, well, the problem that I was wrong for not going to Coach Gundy as a man. Well, Coach Gundy didn't come to you as a player and says, I'm going to wear this T-shirt that's going to be highly offensive, knowing what that network represents. And a lot of times at President Trump's briefings, when he addressed the media, they'll plant one of those, and he so happily, oh, yeah, you in the back over there. And they ask him a question where he's going to, you know. Okay. So, Skip, all you got to do, just go. This is not they're not left, they're not right, they're right down the middle. Just go take a look at it, and you tell me if they're right down the middle. So Mike Holder's the AD. He used to be the golf coach, and they've had a tremendous golf program. Oh, they go very good. Okay. Isn't Ricky Fowler from? Yes, you got it. But Mike Holder, I know him a little bit, seems like a good man, but he conducted the internal investigation, and you and I are not buying, because his conclusion is that Mike only needs to invest more time in building stronger relationships with his student athletes. But final takeaway was, quote unquote, we uncovered no signs or indication of racism. What did we just walk through? Was that not a big indication, a big red flag of racism? Yes. Well, how can you conclude that? So they wrist-slapped Coach Gundy. They cut his salary, I don't know exactly by how much, but some, and they took 1 year off what was a 5-year rollover, so now it's a 4-year rollover contract. I think he's not going to lose any sleep over that. I could be wrong. Right. But they did punish him, quote unquote, to that degree. So are you satisfied, Mr. Sharpe, with all of the above? You're not. No, because I think the history of it and some of the things that he said and some of the things that he's done deserved a more in-depth look by people that are qualified to do that. It's Skip, and I'm not saying I don't know Mike Holder, but it's hard for me to believe that someone, the athletic director, is qualified enough to dig that deep and to go in the direction that an outside counsel could go into and find out certain things and interview different people. How many people did they actually interview? to take his word for it and ask one other guy. And that's the thing, Skip, what you run into when you don't do a thorough investigation. We see that a lot, Skip. It's kind of what we're going through with the police department. Yeah, we talked to him and nothing happened.
I agree.
Because you don't have an outside person doing the interviewing, you come back and people look at you like you're crazy.
Okay, so my final takeaway is Oklahoma State looks like it's going to have a pretty good team next year. Okay, Chuba's back. Way to go. If this starts to hurt their recruiting, because this could affect living rooms and parents and how they counsel their young sons, do you really want to go play for that guy?
I tell you what, this is what you do. If you don't believe that T-shirt is the factor, when you go recruit some of them guys, put that T-shirt on and go in their grandma or their mama house or their dad's house. Put that T-shirt on. There's nothing wrong with the T-shirt. Just show up to those black kids' home with that T-shirt on. That's all I'm asking, Mike. There's nothing wrong with it. Mike Holder, you don't deem there's anything wrong with it. Gundy doesn't deem there's anything wrong with that T-shirt. Put that T-shirt on and go sit on mama or grandma's couch.
And see how fast those boosters come up with $16 million to get you out of there.
Yeah. That's if you want to know if something is offensive, just put it on and just go about your business. Well, that's not offending someone.
No mercy. LeBron and Anthony Davis made the returns to Lakers practice this week, and the team released this hype video. And how about we watch it together? Let's take a look.
They won in the books, baby. Yes, sir.
I think we should just keep watching it, right? LeBron, all smiles. Oh, I love it. It got me excited. Shannon, how much do you love this video? Skip, we'll get to you after. Shannon.
Hey.
You saw that?
Hey.
You saw that chiseled. You saw that chiseled, right, Skip Bayless?
Yeah, I don't think he called bank on that shot.
He called it.
I think he
Called it.
missed it.
Oh,
It was wide left and it banked in.
Didn't he do that against Toronto? That game went against Toronto. You remember you said the same thing then?
He didn't even have any backboard to work with. He accidentally nicked it off the backboard and it went in.
Man, do $100 million a year. The bank's always open. You know that, Skip Bayless. But I love what I saw. Don't you love what you saw, Skip Bayless? You love it. I knew old Goat James would come back in great shape. Why wouldn't he, Skip? Look, it's like anything. LeBron James spends, estimate, $2 million a year. The best nutritionists, the best physio, the best trainers, chefs. That's what you do, Skip. What painter you know doesn't use the best paint, the best brushes, the best canvas? If I played the violin, I'm playing a Stradivarius. That's what I'm playing, Skip Bayless, because I'm the best. I demand the best. Your day coming. You laughing right now, Skip. Yeah, you key. But your day coming. Your day coming. Your day of reckoning. You're going to have to deal with me, Skip Bayless. I'm going to be insufferable. You're going to say, you know what? You're going to want to vacation. You're going to I got to get out this bubble. You talk about this antiseptic bubble that we're here coming to Fox. I'm going to be insufferable.
Yeah,
I
antiseptic ghost town.
That's okay. Skip, look, they're gearing up for this postseason run. AD's talked about it like I'm healthy, but everybody's healthy. There's no question about this. Everybody's healthy, Skip. But I love what I saw. But them two, ooh, look at that. I ain't seen a duo like that since Shaq and Kobe. When last time you seen a duo like that? Shaq, Kobe. That's it.
I had to watch this like 5 times to let it all sink in last night. And I got to the point where I needed to reach for your trash can. Because what do you usually do? You pick up your trash can and you go, yeah, right? That's what I felt like doing after I watched it the 5th time.
You hating.
I'm like, hype, hooray. We back, says LeBron.
Locked
we
in.
back, says AD. Locked in. I mean, this clinches it. It is over. I don't even know why they need to go to Orlando. I don't even know why they need to play any more games. Why do they need all that bubble trouble? Why even put up with it? Because they just told you it is over. Why not just declare them the NBA champions without actually having to risk COVID by playing basketball games? All I know is when I finished that, it felt like that the Los Angeles Lakers, when it comes to hype videos, they are like 4 games sweeping those poor stepchildren who live in the basement at Staples, known as the Los Angeles Clippers, because the Clippers cannot compete with that.
Nope.
And they don't compete because they can't and they won't. It's just not the way they do things, because they're led by a guy who wears orthopedic hospital shoes.
PPEs.
Made by Old Balance. Not New Balance. It's
man,
now Old Balance. It's for old people, right? That's what Shannon Sharpe tells me every day on this show. LeBron James is the hype king. There's never been anything like that guy. And I will give you this, he looked good in there. He looked a little lean, actually. I was a little surprised. He's been biking. You know, I'm talking about not exercise biking. He's been riding his bicycle, he and Maverick Carter, through the streets of Los Angeles. It's a little daredevilish, really, to get out there on those bike lanes in West Hollywood.
We're a man of the people.
You're a man of the people.
Yeah, we get
and I guess that's how you dropped your weight. I don't know. It's striving for greatness. And now that number 3 next to him, he is the assistant hype artist. He didn't used to be, but when you get in that guy's world, you just rise and shine. You start striving for hypeness just like the other guy does, right? So I say just cancel the rest of the postseason. No. It doesn't matter anymore because, as AD said, not only are we back, we are healthy. And when we are healthy, we are so much better than everyone else. It's over. They are prohibitive favorites. And Rob Pelinka, the GM, said, not only that, but we are the most unified and united and together team, right?
Yeah.
So how can anybody in the bubble compete with that? So I don't know why the NBA would waste $150 million to stage the bubble. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
When you could just go with the hype video as the shining moment video, right?
You call it the bubble, all that. We call it the Terror Dome. And he said, welcome to the Terror Dome.
Really?
Come on down.
Really?
It's over, Skip Bayless. We got this thing on lock. You know, they got a Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado. 23-hour lockdown, Skip. That's where they sent the Unabomber and Hansen, the spy that helped the Russians.
Yep.
That's where they go. That's how we got this thing on lock. 23-hour lockdown.
So why should we even play the game?
Because we need to play.
Do you?
Plus, we got to have something to talk about. I want to have something to talk about. I want to come in here every other day and annoy you like I do. When LeBron had one of the most patented playoff triple dubs, when AD dropped 40 and 15.
Interesting. So I'm going to remind everybody out there that these two teams have played 3 times already in what used to be the regular season. It seems like it's like 5 years ago. It was 5 months ago, almost 5 months ago. And would you believe the stepchildren won 2 out of the 3 games? Would you believe that Kawhi Leonard outplayed LeBron James 2 out of the 3 times? That's pretty good.
10 cases right now on opening day.
And
10 cases.
Would you believe that 10 cases?
10 cases on opening day. We got you on opening day. 10 cases right now.
After that hype video I just watched, there's no way.
Oh, hold on. What about your guy hype video when he driving around in his old school hoop? He got the little keychain, got the crown dangling on the keychain. Oh, this is a Kawhi town. You weren't talking about no hype video. You were doing all that talking.
Well, that was the truth.
They the truth.
He dropped it on opening night right on LeBron's head. And then it was 85-all going to the 4th quarter on opening night at Staples. It's LeBron's house. And what happened in the 4th quarter? LeBron scored a grand total of 2 and AD got 0.
Okay, Skip. What have you done for me lately? When are they going to update them resumes? Because last time we thumped them.
Last time I looked, you just lost a starter. Avery Bradley's a pretty good player. He's twice made all defensive teams.
Yes.
And by the way, in the one game you did win, he made 6 threes. He made 4 in the 3rd quarter, while the hype king was scoring 0 in the 3rd. It was Avery Bradley who took the game over and gave you the edge that you were able to maintain through the 4th quarter.
Because what that did was LeBron didn't really have to exert himself and overextend himself in the 3rd quarter because he knew that 4th quarter. Because we said, remember when Phil Handy sent him a text, what you want to do? What you want to do, bro? He said, I got it. He didn't say no name. He didn't say, I want PG, or I got Harkless, or I got this. We said, I got him. We refer to him. You don't even get no name out of us. We don't say number 2. We don't say KL. We don't say Claw. We don't say Kawhi.
Him. Okay, you got him now? You got him in the opener?
Yeah, we talk.
Okay.
Him.
All right.
Yeah, where y'all going? We going to Mama and them.
By the way, Kawhi Leonard no longer has to load manage anymore because he also got 5 months off. So he also got to rest those creaky knees of his, those arthritic knees. And all of a sudden, from this point forward, I don't think he needs to take any games off.
And the game going to be coming with greater regularity. You know, they might not be back-to-back, but them things might be every other day.
And while the Clippers actually added Joakim Noah to the bottom of their roster, I don't even know if he'll get to play. They're so deep. But the Lakers still are in doubt about whether Dwight Howard's actually going to join them. He's got a family issue that he's working through, and he's got a cause that he believes in.
Yeah, Skip, hold on. Joakim Noah. You pinning your hopes on Joakim Noah.
You know what? He will compete.
Skip.
He will fight you.
Did you see he just stole $72 million from New York?
He's the third string. You know, he's the backup, the backup to the backup center.
He can't do that. Look, like I said, if we get Dwight, if Dwight comes back, because that would definitely hurt us, because we only really have two bigs anyway, Skip. So that would really hurt us, JaVale and Dwight. So we don't, and AD made it abundantly clear, Skip, that he did not want to spend the lion's share of his minutes at the 5 position. That's why they signed Dwight. So AD doesn't want to spend 38 minutes playing the 5. Now, in the fourth quarter, where he last 8 minutes, he got no problem. But sometimes we might go JaVale, Dwight, AD, Braun, and then whomever. They might even bring me out there at the 2.
They might, because they might need you at the 2. And by the way, I was on the fence, as was Lou Williams, about whether he was going to play. Doc Rivers is saying he believes Lou will play because he is so into Black Lives Matter that he thought he might opt out of Orlando to concentrate on furthering the cause. And yet it sounds like Lou Williams, the best 6th man in basketball, is going to be there.
Skip, this is
interesting.
Skip, this is a thermometer. I stick it in the meat. It's done. Oh, yeah, it's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done.
You're saying the Clippers are done.
We got this.
Because we back?
Boy, LeBron look good. Boy, you look good. He must have been old Shea Jim. He must have been working out when I'm up here. He must have been working out at my place.
I'm going to award LeBron James the video championship. He gets it. It's over. It's done. You won, LeBron. You are now 4-6 in video championships.
Kawhi probably got a gut.
You think he's got a gut?
Probably got a gut.
Want to bet?
Kawhi probably got a gut.
I don't think that is the case. I don't believe he has a gut. Oh, my gosh. You are going to be insufferable, Shannon. You're just, like, preparing us now for what to expect in a month. This could be a long one for us.
Sweep,
oh, all right. I want to move on, guys, to Cam Newton, because the guy has won a lot of awards throughout his football career. The Heisman Trophy, NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, and the NFL MVP Award in 2015. And a former Pats exec thinks he'll need to make room in his trophy case for the NFL Comeback Player of the Year award. And according to Fox Bet, Cam has the second best odds, and that is only behind Big Ben. So, Shannon, what are the odds Cam will win Comeback Player of the Year, or even better, MVP?
I like his chances for Comeback Player of the Year more so than MVP. Skip, to win MVP, normally your team needs to win 12 games. Now, there have been a few exceptions. I think in 2012, Adrian Peterson won 10. But you have to look at the season in which he had. He single-handedly got that team to the playoffs with the second greatest rushing season in NFL history, 2,097 yards. Matt Ryan was 11-5 in 2016. But more times than not, you see 12-4, 13-3, 14-2. That's what it knows. So it's going to take it, I believe, to win the MVP, especially with the current crop of quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, my homeboy, Russell Wilson. Skip, you're going to have to somehow get to 12 wins. Cam Newton gets that team to 12 wins, yeah, he's going to be in the running for the MVP. Now, the Comeback Player of the Year, I believe, is more realistic. Now, he has his work cut out because of Ben Roethlisberger. Ben has been in Pittsburgh. He knows the offense, frontwards and backwards.
Agreed.
So that system.
Yep. He's got a leg up.
He's got a leg up. But I just don't see the MVP, Skip. With those cast of characters, and these guys are getting better and better and better. And what we thought, Skip, because remember when Cam had that season that he had, I think he had like, 35 touchdowns and, 30 touchdowns passing and 10 rushing. And then we like, oh, my God. And then we see Lamar Jackson go 1,200 yards with 36 touchdown passes. And then Mahomes go 50 touchdowns and 5,000. So we see guys are even what Cam's season in 2015, and that was an unbelievable season. And we've seen guys since, we see Cam's, we'll raise you this. So I think more realistic, Skip, is Comeback Player of the Year. I would say Ben is a slight favorite right now, considering, as you mentioned, he has a leg up being in that system for the entirety of his career. But I wouldn't sell Cam short.
Okay, my first statement is this. I'm going to deal with MVP. I have so little respect for the talent around Cam in that offense. I'm being consistent in my opinion about what Brady was trying to deal with last year. And it's virtually unchanged. It's still Julian Edelman is your go-to. At 34, coming off shoulder surgery, he had a bad knee, had cracked ribs last year. He led the league in drops. I just don't know. And he's an underneath type receiver, and that's not Cam's cup of tea.
No.
So can N'Keal Harry turn into the guy I thought he was when they drafted him out of Arizona State? For Cam's sake, I sure hope so.
Big body guy.
Okay. Sanu, he's coming off an ankle surgery. We both thought he looked like a bust after they gave a 2 for him last year. But he's already catching passes out here at UCLA from Cam.
Correct.
Okay, that's a nice start. Can you finish it? Can you show us you've turned back into the Sanu of 2 or 3 years ago in Atlanta?
Okay.
I don't know. They added DeMar Bird. They added Marquise Lee. They're both question marks to me. I'm just not sure they got that much better. The tight ends as a unit were the most pathetic group in the league last year in productivity, led by Benjamin Watson, who was 39, now obviously retired. Matt Lacoste is back. Wow. Ryan Izzo is back. Double wow. And Bill took 2 tight ends in the 3rd round. One of them got mad at me on something, Twitter or something the other day. What's his name? Oh, Dalton Keene. I have to look it up. Oh, yeah, Dalton Keene. He was the 101st player taken, and I guess Dalton thinks he's some combination Rob Gronkowski and Shannon Sharpe. So, way to go, Dalton. I hope you're that good for Cam's sake because he's going to need you. But given what I just went through, given that Dante Scarnecchia, the greatest offensive line coach ever, and I loved Hudson Houck in his days in Dallas, but Scar is the guy.
Joe Bugle was
a very good one.
Rest his soul.
God rest his soul. But Scar just retired a 2nd time, and I'm pretty sure it's over and out this time. So if Cam can go in there, and you've picked them now to win the division, I'll even go so far as if they just do overcome the Buffalo Bills, who went 10-6 last year, what if they win 10 games and win the division and eke them out by 10-6 to 9-7?
Right.
I got to tell you, Cam just might get my MVP vote. He just might.
Skip, I just don't know.
I know, I got you, but I'm looking at degree of difficulty, and I already told you, they faced the hardest schedule in the league given last year's 1-loss record.
And Skip, think about what it took for Adrian Peterson to win the MVP at 10-6. Skip, that was a historic season. And he was 7 yards. No, 2097, ED had 2105, so he was 9 yards.
Okay, I got you, but was he trying to replace the GOAT running back? No.
But so with that being said, Skip, I still believe, it's still a stat. It's still a stat record. Now, obviously, wins, losses goes a long way, but you're going to have to put up numbers. I mean, Mahomes is going to throw for 4,500, 5,000 yards, 35, 40 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, I don't see Lamar Jackson slowing down. Russ is going to be Russ. He's going to be his skill. You like Tom. Skip, I think the guy that has the 3rd MVP, the best 3rd or 4th, died. So if he's what you think he is with CD.
Tom's got the greatest weapons he's had in his 21st year. He's got his greatest weapons. I know Randy Moss is the all-time collection. Yes. I got it. Cam is up against the GOAT. He's trying to step into those winged cleats that Brady wore for 20 years in Boston, Massachusetts, and Foxborough. What a challenge. The schedule is hard. You've got a whole wide receiver core dead last in the league in separation last year, and I'm not sure it's going to be much better. So to me, if he wins this division, gets into the playoffs, he's in the middle of the MVP.
I give him Skip. If he wins the division, I give him comeback player of the year.
Okay, well, he might. He would. In my book, he might get both. Okay, well, I'm just saying, if you max that out against these odds, And by the way, we brought up the prospect. Did Belichick sign him on the cheap just to run Cam package plays where he'll get 10 or 12 snaps a game, he'll throw 6 passes, and he'll run it 6 times, whatever? If that's the case, all bets are off. This is all out.
No. He needs to get, he needs to get the line.
I brought him up the other day. Michael Lombardi, who writes for The Athletic for 3 years, 2014 to 2016, was Bill Belichick's right-hand man in the front office. Michael Lombardi said yesterday on, I believe it was his radio show, he said Cam, if he stays healthy, is going to win MVP. Well, that suggests to me, if he does have the inside knowledge on this, that Cam's going to be the starting quarterback.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's the only way you know winning MVP as a backup.
Well, I'd say, or as a package guy, right?
No.
And yet we both agree, Belichick, if he had his druthers, would go to the playoffs with Jared Stidham, because then he could say, I did it again.
Right.
I found a diamond in the rough, this time in the 4th round, homegrown.
Right.
It's my guy, instead of being able to say, or having to say with Cam, well, he was a former MVP, and he reverted to MVP form. He's Superman again.
But see, Coach Belichick loves reclamation projects. He loves when people gives up on a player, and then he gets to be like, look what I did. See, I told y'all, this is why I'm smarter than you guys.
Okay.
Y'all had this guy, didn't know what you were doing with it.
Okay, so the point is, the bottom line is, and we're going to talk about this again with Eric Dickerson in just a couple of minutes here on the show, but Cam posted on Instagram that for him, it's not about the money, it's just about respect. He has an opportunity, if in fact he wins the job, he has the greatest opportunity you could imagine to recapture tons of respect.
Oh, yeah.
Not money, not this year, but respect.
Right.
And you could get a payday if you do what we're talking about, if you pull this off, if you're at least in the MVP chase and race, next year, okay.
He definitely can change the narrative because, you know, there's a narrative about Cam that he's done and all this, but, you know, go out there and play like, if you're healthy, go out there and play like you know you can play. Then next year you sitting there, instead of $1 million, you'd be playing for 20+ million.
Well, again, he did not give away the tag possibility, so they could tag him next year. He didn't give that up in the negotiation. So
that'd be $37 million.
$37 million. So you could go from $1 million base to $37 million. That'd be a pretty good payday.
Man, I might start training with LeBron and come back out there.
Really?
Yeah, they get that kind of money out there.
I think LeBron should be training with you.
That LeBron look good. He look good in his gift.
I think he needs to gain a little weight.
No, he fine. He fine.
I think he's been riding his bicycle.
No, man. That's strong, though.
No mercy. The NBA gave players a 113-page manual explaining all of the rules and safety protocols in the Orlando bubble. But DeMar DeRozan called the volume and specifics of the rules, quote, frustrating and overwhelming. Meanwhile, Damian Lillard said he isn't confident that all the rules will even be followed. Shannon, how silly do you find these rules?
Skip, they are. They're very silly. And I get, Skip, what the NBA is trying to do. They're trying to minimize the risk of getting someone infected. But, Skip, if I'm in a bubble and I'm guarding you man to man, I'm sweating on you, I'm diving on the court, you diving on the court, we diving on each other. Okay, that's fine and good. Once we shower and go back to our... We can't play table tennis. We can't play double table tennis. We can't be next to each. Skip, that makes no sense. It's kind of like if I got I'm a family of 5, and we're in the house together. We've been quarantining together, but we got to stay 6 feet apart. What the hell is that about, Skip? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't seem... I thought everybody's in the bubble, have taken the proper measures, and you're going to be testing everybody. I'm assuming you're going to probably test everybody every day or every other day at the bare minimum, Skip. It's not realistic, Skip. You can't tell someone... You can get next to me and touch me and be all over me when we're actually on the court. But once we're off the court, we got to socially distance. That makes no sense, and you can understand why the players will be frustrated. Also, Dame Lillard is absolutely right. Guys are going to go stare crazy because they're not used to... Skip, think about it. We saw this with normal people. Imagine a guy that makes $30, $40 million that's used to going and coming as he please. And all of a sudden, his access to going and coming has been greatly restricted. And I'm leaving. That's just the way it is, guys. Good luck. I hope everybody does and follow all 113 pages, but it's hard. Skip, let's be real. We're a country of rule breakers. That's just what we do. What's the speed limit?
Yep.
I can't do it, Skip. I mean, I do the speed limit, unlike somebody else I know, Avenue of the Stars.
Don't rat me out.
Yeah, I'm dry snitching on you.
Yep. I
just take my time. You know, I have no hurry. I mean, I enjoy my music that time of the morning.
That's why you're always late. I don't know. Okay. I got to disqualify myself before I launch on this because it's hard for me to be much of a DeMar DeRozan fan because, remember, my team was forced by that guy number 2. He forced his way out of town. God bless him. He masterminded it. He pulled it off. But but the best deal they could make with an Eastern Conference team was to get DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard.
And Jacque Vaughn.
And Jacque Vaughn, who I love. I got a picture with Jacque. I actually put it on my IG. DeMar DeRozan can't carry Kawhi's New Balance sneakers. He's just not that dude, and he was never that dude against LeBron in all those Eastern Conference playoff matchups. Remember all those?
Yeah.
What'd you call them? The baby dinosaurs?
Oh, yeah, baby dinosaur. The baby dinosaur.
He's still a baby dinosaur. And this comes across as spoiled baby whining to me because while on the surface, what you just said makes sense, the truth is, the facts are that the NBA is trying to keep you as healthy as possible so you can go out there and bang bodies and trade sweat with your competitors. Because the problem is in the bubble, if one human breaks the rules and goes outside the bubble, sneaks outside the bubble, and comes back in infected, you know and I know what can happen. Outbreak can happen,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to do Dr. Fauci rules inside the bubble. Dr. Fauci signed off on it, said, I think they have a chance.
Right.
But to have a chance, this is the ultimate all for one and one for all.
Right.
This is the ultimate togetherness because you have to trust your weakest link can destroy you.
Right.
Your weakest link can say, I'm sick and tired of it. I haven't seen my girlfriend or whatever, my wife or what. I'm going outside the bubble. And you make one false move, you touch one surface that's contaminated and you touch your face, it's over. You're going to be infected and you might not even know you're infected, so you're going to be asymptomatic, or as they now say, pre-symptomatic. I'm sick and tired of all of these terms because we live with them every moment of every day.
Yes.
I'm haunted by all of the above. But I get it that they're trying to keep you apart in games of ping pong just to ensure that by the time you get to the court, you haven't infected each other socially.
But Skip, I thought we were tested. I thought the players, they got tested. So they're going to be in the bubble.
Okay, you can get tested, and then if night falls and you slip outside the bubble and get contaminated, you can't get tested on the hour, every hour.
So, well, guess what, Skip? If I slip outside the bubble, and guess what? I'm going to be on the court. Touch it and guard man to man.
They're trying to make you as safe as possible before you get to the court because the court ain't safe at all.
No.
You have to trust.
That's the least safest place.
Well, it is, but you have to trust your brothers on the court. I'm talking about your rival brothers.
Right.
You have to trust that everybody observe the rules, even though we're a country of rule breakers and you're all going to go stir crazy in your rooms in Disney.
What about, Skip? Let me ask you this. So once everybody get there, so as far as catering and everybody else, are they going to be allowed to leave, go and come?
Yes, unfortunately, but you can't. Okay, but you can only go so far in a bubble.
No, everybody got to be in the bubble.
Unless you want to cook for yourself in the bubble.
No, once you get there, so what they're asking the players to do, that's what these other people are going to have to do. So the dining, everybody you got to give up 3 months.
Okay, but what do we do every single morning here at Fox?
Yeah, we get
West
tested.
side of Los Angeles. We get out of our cars, we walk up a flight, and we walk through, and we get thermometer from a distance, right?
Yes.
And they actually say out loud, you're 98.3, 97.9.
They say, how you walking around? They say, you like 95. I say, huh? That's it. They say, boy, you cold-blooded. They say, you cold-blooded.
I can attest to that. So then what happens? We have somebody ask us a series of questions about, do you have a sore throat? Do you have shortness of breath? Do you blah, 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 blah? Has a doctor told you you need to quit? Nope. Okay, you're clear to go through. I don't know what it all proves, but it's the best we got right now, right?
They say, you got any muscles? I say, yeah, I'm old. Try getting old. You're going to have them too.
No, but you can't kid with these people or you're going to wind up not being allowed in to do the show.
I know.
It's like going through security at the airport. No jokes, right?
No joke.
This is no joke. So in the end, I have to depend solely on my brother across the table because we even know we're almost too close right now.
Right.
So when you talk, I always tell you, sit back when I talk because I can't control sometimes I get too worked up and I hope my spittle doesn't fly across the table.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. Man, you and Skip, y'all still doing y'all thing, but y'all don't get as hype. I said, we can't get it hype. No. We're in this thing, and they say, take it down or not.
Okay, but I have to trust my brother across the table that he stayed in the bubble last night, in his own bubble, and that he played by the rules.
Absolutely.
And the rules are actually, in the end, they're pretty simple.
Yes.
Just stay away from other humans. Stay at least this far apart.
But Skip, that's not our nature. That's not human nature.
It's not human nature, but this is what we're up against. It's a pandemic, and we're in stage 2, and it is, we are getting struck again, right?
Yeah.
So it's real simple. As soon as I leave this desk, because I'm touching the desk, I walk over to where my bag is around the corner, and I sanitize after every debate topic that we do,
you're ridiculous with it.
Okay, I'm ridiculous, but
I can't be doing
you know what?
that.
My wife is ridiculous in a good way.
Right.
And she has taught me you can't slip up one time. So the rules are simple. You got to keep washing up or sanitizing or Purell, whatever you got to wash your hands with. And if you're touching surfaces, you can't touch your face. Well, those are the rules. Stay 6 feet apart.
Right.
Keep washing, keep sanitizing. Don't touch your face, because if you touch your face and you're contaminated, it's going to go in your nose or go in your eyes or go in your mouth, right?
Right.
And you're going to be sick.
Right.
How sick you're going to get, nobody seems to know.
Right.
But you're going to at least be carrying the virus.
Well, Skip, I don't know how we get it, because from the time I get out of my truck and go to get my temperature check, they got Purell station. I get to the elevator, they got another Purell station.
Bathroom.
I get off the elevator, they got a Purell station. I get down the hallway, they got a Purell station. I pass the bathroom, they got a Purell station. I'm like, well, I'm looking for Purell, I can't find none, so I think I'm gonna steal me a jar. I'm gonna steal me a jar from Fox.
Yep. Good point. But thank you, Fox. They're making it as ultimately safe as possible.
They are.
But then it's up to us to do our part. You know, we have to have teamwork here.
Well, I mean, I'm cool, Skip, because I've always been a leopard. I've always been a solitary person. I do my thing. I'm by myself. I'm cool.
Okay, good.
I
hope I'm cool because you're cool.
Yeah, I'm cool. Right? I'm good by myself.
Okay, and so when DeMar leaves the court of play, he's got to play by the rules so that he doesn't contaminate in the bubble. Right?
Yeah, but I guess it's different now, Skip, because for me, I guess football, I don't know, it'd be hard for me to, like, if I'm playing against you guys, it's the playoff, Skip, I ain't really trying to, you know, like the Super Bowl. Skip, I ain't really trying to do nothing with the other team.
No.
Boy, they got Madden and they got all these, like in like college, you know, college, Skip, they have the bowl game.
These guys fraternize a lot more than you guys.
Yeah, no, I ain't really trying to see you like that.
Okay, good.
Just for the record, guys, the moment I can get back to the table, I'm coming back. So you guys have me to the side for now, but when we can come within the 6 feet, I miss being at the table with you guys. I'm still here, though. Still here.
No mercy.
Major League Baseball is back, and the season will begin with MLB on Fox, returning July 25th with Fox Saturday Baseball, and we could not be more excited about this great news for baseball fans across the country. Guys, baseball is back, and of course, America's home for baseball this summer, as always, will be Fox and FS1. Cam Newton has earned over $120 million during his 9 years in the NFL, not including endorsement money. So his 1 year, $1.75 million deal with the Patriots raised a few eyebrows. But Cam took to Instagram yesterday to explain why he would agree to a minimum deal. He said, quote, "This is not about money for me. It's about respect." So Shannon, do you agree with Cam's point here?
I need to find that font. I think I'm going to start writing my stuff.
How do you do it?
Are you? It might take you a long time.
No. Skip, look, Cam is right to a certain extent, because there's certain things that money can't buy, but normally if you have those, people got to respect you. And sometimes they go hand in hand. But I think in this instant, what Cam is talking about, he's like, I've surveyed, there are 32 teams. Obviously, one let me go. There's probably like 10, 12 teams that the starter is entrenched. No problem whatsoever. But as I kept surveying, I looked around, I'm better than some of the starters and the backups on these teams, and they didn't reach out. The lack of respect that they have for me, Cam Newton, a former MVP, when they were calling guys out of retirement when they didn't want to sign Cap. Now I'm available. And I can't get a call. And so it's not about the money. Skip, if I'm an actor, and I've been, you know, and I've been I've won an Oscar, which is the greatest achievement you can win in the Academy of Acting. And all of a sudden, do a bad movie, and nobody gives me a call, and I get this role. It's not the role that I wanted, not what I'm used to being in, but somebody gives me a chance. I'm like, the lack of respect. It's not about the money. It's not about the role. Yes, okay, yes, I'm a supporting role now. I know what I can do, but I see guys that's getting these movies. They're not better at what they do than I am. So Cam is saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to take this role. I'm healthy, and I'm going to show you, and I'm going to get my respect back. I'm going to change the narrative of what you have about Cam Newton, because the narrative, Skip, as you mentioned, is that the last 4 years he hasn't been good. He hasn't been good since that 2015 season.
Except for that one big flash of a streak in 2018.
In 2018, hurt his shoulder, kept trying to play through it.
Yep.
You don't realize that, Cam, they don't care about what it took you to get there. All they see is one, and they see Newton on the back. They expect you to be great. So I believe Cam is upset, Skip, because he knows that he's better than a lot of these quarterbacks that had starting jobs and had backup jobs. And some of these teams didn't even reach out, didn't even call him.
Yep.
And so that probably hurt more than anything. When you made that kind of money, Skip, yeah, okay. So I got to start from the bottom and work my way back up. I got no problem with that. But Cam has made great money, and he'll be okay. He just needs to go out there and show that he's still Cam Newton.
He just needs an opportunity.
That's it.
Still not completely sure he's going to get that in New England. We'll find out. But Cam Newton had an injured shoulder, got it fixed. He had an injured foot. Liz Frank, surgery, got it fixed. You think he's been cleared.
Right.
Now he has an injured pride, and it is wounded.
Yep.
And you can't surgically get it fixed.
Right.
You can only go back out there if somebody will give you a chance and show them they were all dead wrong.
Right.
And I do disagree with this premise, but it's coming from a place in his heart that's hurt.
Right.
But his premise is that money can't buy respect. Yeah, but when people pay you money, they're paying you the respect.
So they respect what you did.
Yes. In this world we live in,
yes.
Your respect is measured, unfortunately, in the end, by your salary.
It is.
Okay. So Bill Belichick got away with paying him barely $1 million. It's the bare minimum for a veteran of Cam's ilk.
Right.
For the years he's put in, what is he, 9 years in?
9.
That's the bare minimum you could have paid him. It's $1.05 million.
Right.
That ranks 908th of salaries paid in the NFL. That ranks 58th of the quarterbacks' salaries. And it just seems so wrong that this guy was an MVP. This guy dominated the league for a year and in a stretch in 2018 also, and lifted a team in 2015 to the Super Bowl with a 15-1 record. And this happens where the league rejected you to the point that Bill Belichick got away with paying you that. There are incentives, though he even got away with paying incentives that are unlikely to be earned, right? Yeah. And they don't count against the cap because your stats were so bad last year because you didn't have any stats that he got away with paying you stats that qualify as unlikely to be earned.
And Skip, and I hate incentives. And you know why? Because I can't control those. Someone else can control those. Skip, I had an incentive in my contract 1 year. And I signed the contract because when I signed it, Skip, I was playing mostly special team. So if I get X amount of touchdowns, make the Pro Bowl, make all pro, so I'm getting 5,000 here. But if I led the team in receiving, had 1,000 and had 1,000 yards, Skip, I would get $100,000.
Okay.
Now I needed 120. I think I needed 126 yards in the game playing the Raiders. Now, the thing about this, Skip, there's so much. If we win the game, we win division, we get home field, they come to us. We lose the game, they win the division, we got to go back to them the following week. I need 126 yards to get $100,000. Skip, I got 121 and 2 touchdowns at the half and don't catch another pass.
Seriously? What year was this?
93. And then I go back out there the following week and drop 13 for $153, $156 on them in a playoff game, which at the time was the most reception in a playoff game in NFL history.
Do you are you suspecting that Coach Shanahan knew what you
Mike wasn't there then.
Oh, he wasn't there?
Mike wasn't there then. Mike came in 95.
That's right.
I don't know what was suspected.
Who was calling the plays?
Jim Fossil didn't know. I don't know who knew, but I remember and John called him T. He said, "What's going on, T?" It's like, I said, "Man," I said, "I'm disappointed we lost." I said, "T, I needed 5 yards. I'd have got $100,000. And he looked me dead in my eye. He says, "If that ever happens, if you need a yard, you need a catch, I just pull up and throw you the ball."
Okay. Did you think about mentioning that?
Skip, I didn't want to be that guy that I never asked for the ball, Skip. It was just in the flow of the offense. It was coming. Skip, I was cooking. You go back and look at the tape.
So 121 in the flow of the offense, that worked.
That worked.
Okay, so you had earned the right to get a 5-yard pass.
And guess what, Skip? We was up 17 points at the half.
Okay.
We ended up losing the game 33-30 in overtime.
No good. And then what was the fate of the 93 team then?
We go back out to the Raiders the following week. We lose in the playoff game, but I hit them up for 13 for $156 and another tub.
They could not cover.
They couldn't do nothing with me. No.
Did you call any names?
No.
Tried to cover you?
Eddie Anderson, he was the safety. He went to Fort Valley. They were on the team my freshman year. He and Greg Lloyd, they called their defense Blue Death because they were knocking folks out. But I was cooking them, Skip. I was cooking them.
Okay, I'm going to sum this up on Cam's IG post. He posted 4 hashtags. All I know is work. I'll give you that one. I'm betting it all on me. Kaboom. Shine through the shade. Way to go.
Yes.
I'm not buying the last one. Not for likes, just for life. I believe Cam likes to be loved.
Yeah.
I do, but who doesn't?
Yeah.
But he has huge personality, huge charisma.
Right.
That's why he's on social media.
Yeah.
Well, don't tell me it's not for likes, because this whole thing is for your life is for likes.
Right.
You want to be loved.
Yes, we want to be appreciated.
You had earned the right to be loved in 2015 and some in 2018.
Yes, and now he has to go somewhere else, and he has to get that fan base to embrace him. It's difficult. I spent 10 years in Denver. The fans won Super Bowls and was great. Now I got to go to Baltimore, Skip, and now those fans don't really know. They saw what I did over there. You gonna do that for us? You gonna help us win some playoff games? You gonna help us get to the Super Bowl? So now he has to Skip. It's starting all over again. It's like getting out of a relationship, Skip. What worked in that last relationship might not work in this one. So you got to start all over. I ain't holding no door, though, Skip.
Nope.
Yeah, that's a good way to get out of holding the door, Skip. That COVID, that old Rona out there.
You have to hold the door.
That Rona out there. I don't want that Rona to jump on me.
I hold the door.
Oh, so you want the Rona to jump on me?
No, I want the Purell to jump on me.
Why are we calling it Rona?
Oh, they call that Rona.
Everything has a nickname, and I can't.
No mercy.
Lift Every Voice and Sing, a song also known as the Black National Anthem, will be played prior to the Star-Spangled Banner before every Week 1 NFL game. Shannon, what was your reaction when you heard this?
Skip, I don't want to come off as being ungrateful. But for me, this is another symbolic gesture. And I've asked, okay, playing this, how much closer does this get us to economic equality? How much closer does this get us to ending systemic and institutional racism? What is this going to do about the hiring practices for minorities in the NFL? Does playing this get us closer to that? At some point in time, Skip, you know what the thing is? What I'm seeing from a lot of institutions is that what you're doing is that you're dipping your foot in the water, but ain't nobody wanting to dive in because of all the things that transpired. And George Floyd tragically lost his life, was murdered over 6 weeks ago. Skip, really, the only state that's really done anything is Colorado. They've done away with qualified immunity. Yep. That's the only one. Now, everybody else keep talking about, oh, we won't change, we won't change. Wanting it is one thing. What are you going to do to bring about that change? NFL, thank you. Okay, I get it. It's another great symbolic gesture. The NFL is, we doing all this. But come on, bro. Enough of these gestures for me. Skip, don't pat me on the back and not provide a service for me that truly shows me that you care about me.
Yep.
How long do they think this is going to go? Okay, you're going to play this before every week one a game. And then black people going to look around and they're going to be like, oh, my God, they play that. And then what? Hell, my situation around me hasn't changed. I'm still impoverished. These laws that are enacted still doesn't help me. So what have you done? come on, look, Skip. I'm not really big into symbolic gestures without a cause, without something deeper. Snatch down the statues, but not before you give me economic equality. Snatch the monuments and take away words and names off buildings. But let's get rid of this economic. Let's get rid of this injustices that we see. And I hope, Skip. Look, if you've ever cared for a child, and women will know what I'm talking about, Skip. There's a difference between a child being hungry and a child being needed to be satisfied with a pacifier. Stop giving us these pacifiers. We're hungry. Feed us. Don't pacify us anymore.
Well said. So when I first saw this headline, my first thought was about you. And I wondered if you would have the reaction that you just gave me about this. And I realize the National Football League is in a tricky spot here because do we do enough or do we look like we're doing too much?
Yeah, but ain't nobody asked for this.
No.
Stop doing things we're not asking for. We had this big argument with Terry Crews. Terry Crews has been catching flack, Skip, because he says we got to make sure Black Lives Matter doesn't morph into Black Lives Better. Can we just get the Black Lives equal before we step over the threshold and talk about Black Lives are better? Can we do something meaningful before we start playing the Black National Anthem? Nobody asked you to play that.
What if the NFL did nothing? How would you feel?
Well, they ain't doing nothing now. We had the Rooney Rule. They had to go back and add some more paragraphs and more language for the Rooney Rule.
Okay.
For what?
But if, I'm talking about on week one, if there were no symbolic gestures, if it just came and went, would you be offended by that?
No, I'm offended by it because I hope that they don't think because people are not in the street like they were the first month that this is going away. It's not going away, Skip. It's not. People finally, Skip, people are starting to see, man, I can see progress can be made. So now must hold people accountable. Man.
So I thought a lot about this last night because it hit me in my head and then all the way down to my heart that the black community has needed its own national anthem. That's all you need to know. That's how sad that is. That the gravity of that hit me right between the eyes last night.
Right.
I've known about Lift Every Voice. Yeah. It's always been out there. It's great. It was a poem originally that was put to music by two brothers. It's beautiful. I would encourage everyone, black, white, any color, go read the lyrics. Just call it up on just Google for the lyrics of the song and just read. Especially the middle verse is stunning to me.
Right.
But if we're going to play the black national anthem, then the national anthem back to back before the game, it almost feels like Toronto's playing Golden State in the NBA Finals, and we got to play the Canadian anthem. Play both of them. And then, right, and it's like there's something wrong with this picture,
right? Because
silly me, idealistic me, I grew up thinking one nation under God, indivisible. Well, it never was.
Never.
And you grew up looking at it completely upside down. Okay, yeah. So I have been enlightened, and I have seen and felt, and from my perspective, as much as I would love for us to have one anthem that we all could believe in, you have needed for years your anthem. Maybe there'll come a time when you don't. But the important point is, do we need this symbolic gesture to go on? Do we need to play your national anthem every game all year, right, at least to keep the conversation going, to keep the focus on what really matters? Obviously, what matters the most is what I've campaigned against for like 15 years. It is unarmed black men and women getting killed by white cops, getting murdered by white cops. That's the first, that needs to be attacked first. And then after that, we're already to a point of enlightenment, to racial sensitivity, where we are attacking all of the vestiges that got grandfathered in of slavery. Statues, symbols, take them down. Take them down. We talked about George Preston Marshall and that nickname Redskins. Well, they took his statue down outside RFK. Good. Take them down. So this is all progress, but it's just baby steps toward the ultimate goal. So I sympathize with the National Football League trying to think, well, okay, how do we do this? Well, to me, I want to see kneeling. And I wouldn't mind hearing the Black National Anthem every game all year. I don't know how you'd feel about that. That's, again, my 2 cents from this side of the table. But we need to keep the conversation going. We cannot, so to speak, let it fade to black, because it can't fade to black, or all this will be lost. All this moment in time with the doors and minds open will be lost. So I would advocate hearing this song before every game ahead of our quote-unquote national anthem, just to keep it top of mind, what we just went through. That's just my little point.
Well, if it's going to lead to bringing about change,
okay, I got it. But you know and I know, focus will bring about change.
Yes.
Conversation, strong conversation will bring about change.
Not symbolic gestures.
Okay, not symbolic gestures, but we do know that Minnesota is saying no more chokeholds. Okay, that's a small start, right?
Well, the chokehold's been outlawed. But here's the thing. If the police, because Skip, that's what it calls, because you have to, and the Supreme Court says, we have to look at the police officers, not as we sit here today. What was he thinking at the very moment? Skip, I used the chokehold. Skip, I was in fear for my life. That's his word. That's what he felt. How do we question what he feels at that given moment? So therefore, he's allowed to use the chokehold. Boom, he gets off.
Did it look like he was in fear of his life with a hand in his pocket?
Exactly. So doing away with qualified immunity. Skip, I'm listening to some of the police unions. Skip, do you know you have to give the police officer, if he's accused of the murder, you have to give him 48 hours? Now, if I kill somebody, they know I did it. You think they're going to give me 48 hours to let me formulate what I'm going to do? And then you got to turn over all your information, what the charges are against him. Really? The only way to get it done, they're going to have to break these unions. You're going to have to break these unions, Skip. For lack of a better word, Skip, they got us in figuratively and really, literally a chokehold, Skip. Because they're so powerful. That nobody wants to take them on. Okay, but doors have been cracked open, and you got to run through them. Yeah, right. But that's the thing, though, Skip. It's just a crack. This thing got to swing. You got to swing wide open. It ain't good enough for one or two. Cause see, that's what they did, Skip. They cracked the door open, and they said, "You got Oprah, you got Michael Jordan, you got LeBron, you got a few through. Nah, we trying to get this open up and get a lot of them through." No mercy.
Much has been made about Zion Williamson's playing weight over the past year, but the Pelicans just posted a photo of Zion, which looks like he spent his entire quarantine in the weight room, and he looks more than ready to resume the NBA season this month. And I love Zion wearing that mask. All right, Shannon, how impressed were you by the pic?
I like the way he looks, Skip. I'm starting to see some cuts. And I'm not talking about the ones he got from falling off his bike when he was a child. Now, I see some definition.
He looked better than Braun to me.
Yeah, no. See, there you go. See, you go overboard. I just can't with you. I can't with you. But I'm happy to see that, Skip. It looks to me, because you remember Zion missed a lot of training camp. Well, he missed because he got hurt I think in the summer league, and then he had the surgery, and so he was rehabbing. Rehabbing is not the same as training. I think, Skip, him being healthy, this break, he got an opportunity to train, and you see what it's done to his body. Skip, that is the only thing really that can slow Zion Williamson down, is his inability to control his weight and have to deal with ticky-tack, nagging injuries.
You have said it from day one.
So this guy right here looks phenomenal.
That guy can last.
Yes.
The first guy that we saw is going to have a hard time.
Yes.
Somebody has gotten to him and explained to him that that you are what you put in your mouth.
Correct.
What you eat.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
He apparently is eating correctly.
Yes.
And as you know, through the quarantine, you can go either way, because sometimes you get stuck and you just say, and you're a little depressed, you know, like you say, but somebody went the right way.
Like me. That's what I did. I went the right way.
You went the right way. LeBron went the right way. Zion really went the right way. That will work. I'm going to remind you, he got off to a pretty good start in 19 games. He's 24 and 7 rebounds. And his 59% shooting for players who have taken 15 or more shots a game, that leads the NBA.
Yeah.
That is working. And all of a sudden, that team is starting to work, because my man Lonzo Ball, over the last 5 games, it seems like 5 years ago, but over the last 5 games, he went 21, 8, and 8. He was making 51% of his threes over those last 5 games. You still have you got Drew Holiday. you look down the roster, and you've got Lonzo and Josh Hart, obviously, at the guards. And listen, this team is loaded with young talent.
Okay, but do you believe they can catch Memphis? Because I think Sacramento and Portland are all 3.5 back with only 8 games to play.
3.5 back. I would love for them to, for entertainment value, as much as I like John. By the way, to Ja's credit, he took the quarantine and went the other way in a good way.
Right.
He beefed up a little. I mean, he put some muscle on.
Right.
He looks like a professional basketball player instead of a skinny college kid.
Right.
Way to go, Ja Morant. He needed to lean out. John needed to put a little bit of definition on it.
Yes, Skip, you have to understand, this is your job now.
Yeah.
I mean, you eating and being all cool, you know, eating in the dormitory, this is a profession. You can make hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars doing this. So it's best. I mean, look at the top guys. Look at all of these guys, from James Harden to LeBron, all these guys have shifts. So as you come in, you're like, hey, I want to play an extended period of time. I want to maximize my opportunity. I'm going to get me a chef. I'm going to have someone prepare my meal. I'm not saying, Skip, you got to eat every single meal made by your chef. Sure, enjoy it, but I'm saying for the most part, the lion's share should be custom for your body.
So that 19-year-old, he is still 19. 4 days from 20. But at age 19, he was selected for one of the 3 NBA 2K21 covers, the one for Next Gen.
Yeah.
That's a lot, man.
Yeah.
It took LeBron like 12 years to get on the cover, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's up there with Kobe. I think Kobe's on one, and Dame Lillard. So that's a huge accomplishment.
Can he live up? Yes, he can.
Yes. I mean, he's on the right. I love this, Skip. I love it because he was away from everybody, quarantined. And like you said, he could have went the other way.
He can. Ooh.
And then all of a sudden, he comes out and he's looking like that. Go get him, Zion.
Love to see him in the 8th seed.
Woo. So what? You are they going to get it, yes or no?
Well, the odds are way against him in 8 games. They're going to have to go 8-0 and hope for some help.
Right. They're going to have to at least 6-2 and then hope Memphis.
No, I think you need to go. I think you need to win them all. When you're 3.5 back with 8.
Yeah. Because if Memphis win, 3 games?
Yeah.
It's basically you got to go 6-2, and hope Memphis go 3-5.
Just regardless, seeing him look that ready and prepared. I don't know what direction I went. I think the other way, but I'm motivated now to get back to the gym and work out. And I don't have a gym set up like Skip and Shannon. I'm not that lucky around here. Okay. No mercy. Adrian Wojnarowski believes Jacque Vaughn is going to be the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets next season. While the Nets are expected to conduct a full coaching search, Woj is, quote, taking Vaughn against the field. So, Shannon, are you surprised by this?
I'm really not, Skip. I think the thing is that since he's taken over for Kenny Atkinson, it's only been 2 games. They won both of those games. They beat the Lakers when the Lakers were really streaking. And what he did is that he took DeAndre Jordan, who was on the bench, who's a very good friend of KD and Kyrie. That's the only reason that he's there. He inserted him into the starting lineup. But it's hard for me to believe that in a scenario like this, you wouldn't run this by KD and Kyrie since they are your franchise superstar players. So if Jacque Vaughn gets that job, he's received the blessing of those 2 guys. Now, Kyrie has played for Ty Lue. And so that's why I thought Ty Lue would be.
I did too, unless Kyrie was not all in on Ty Lue.
So for that situation to happen, Skip, KD and Kyrie signed off on them if he gets this job.
If he gets it. And you want to talk about a plum job? Would they not be possibly the favorites in the East?
Hey, Skip, it's hard for me to see a scenario where they wouldn't be the favorite. When those 2 guys are healthy, coming into 2021, absolutely, they're going to be the favorite out of the East.
So I like Jacque Vaughn. I think he's a fine man, but he had 3 years in Orlando to prove himself, and I know the team wasn't very good. He was 58 and 158. Yeah. But he did coach under Coach Pop in San Antonio. Sean Marks, the Nets GM, played for Coach Pop and then came up through the Spurs front office and was the assistant to R.C. Buford. So there is San Antonio connection and rapport between Jacque Vaughn and Sean Marks. Right. But tell me, Sean Marks, that you didn't get the 2 superstars to sign off on this. Right. Because a lot of other people want this job. I think Jeff Van Gundy would be interested. Mark Jackson would be interested. Jason Kidd.
I think Jeff Van Gundy just wants to date because his name always comes up and he ain't trying to get married again, Skip. I just think he wants to date.
But this would be marrying up.
Yeah, there's no question about it, Skip. Wow. This job is very good. But the question is, Skip, the thing is that Pop had in his favor is that he had Tim Duncan and David Robinson to buy into him early. These guys are bona fide superstars.
Okay, to me, Ty Lue is a championship coach.
Absolutely.
Like he has charisma, star power.
He coached Bron.
That's what I'm saying. Well, he did. And I'm surprised that Kyrie wouldn't say, we got to go get him.
Right. It's not over yet. I mean, that's what Woj says. He said he believes, but don't count T. Lue out yet.
All right, that is it for us today. That's all the time we have. I hope you all have a happy and healthy 4th of July weekend. We're going to be back Monday, same time. Have a good day, guys. See you Monday.